Hey there, it's another beautiful day. To my good friend Priest, welcome back. It's good to know you're on the mend. Let's watch some stuff.
Alright guys, I'm back. Now please somebody pinch me or tell me this is a joke. Just days after Kamala Harris allegedly said some vile things to her rally goers when they were talking about Jesus and God, she shows up yesterday morning for church service. Not any other time before in the campaign except for right after. Coincidence? I don't believe in them. Now, regardless of what you say, whether or not you believe she really said those things, even though the guy that was in the crowd that she waved bye-bye to was on the morning news everywhere yesterday confirming the story, the optics of this alone just aren't great. And we know how whenever Kamala needs to prove something, she goes and makes sure there's a press event about it so that she can pander to whatever crowd she needs to get in front of. For example, her different accents she said at all different rallies for different crowds. While I'm very happy to see Kamala in church because I think she needs it, I don't know if it was for the right reasons. Either way, her campaign managers are not really good at covering up the pandering. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments.
She is out there playing cover your booty. I think her campaign should be covering her booty by putting into action some of these things that she says she's going to do for the country while she's still in power. That would probably be good for her campaign. I mean, I'm glad that they're not. But apparently, the whole going to church thing still didn't play out very well.
After Kamala Harris pissed off a lot of Christians for spreading a lot of anti-Christian rhetoric, she decided she could do a PR stunt at a church and all would be forgiven. And it looks like Kamala is now censoring Christians at their own church. Kamala Harris had police escort Christians out of their own church after they questioned her about statements claiming that Jesus Christ and Christians don't belong at her rallies. It's just crazy that the same woman that told Christians that they don't belong at her rallies confidently stood on that stage speaking to Christians and twisting scripture and telling them how to vote after bashing them. Just the nerve of this lady. And personally, me as a Christian, this just didn't sit well with me.
Being non-religious, that doesn't sit well with me either because it was disrespectful. And then to see people being escorted by police out of their own church because she wants to put on a publicity stunt, oh, she's just driving it home, isn't she?
So Roswell, New Mexico flooded. So I was looking some things up and I found something interesting. First, for reference, they got 5.78 inches in one day, which broke the record since 1901. Historical. So then I look at the map to see where the flooding is, and I notice that Roswell is on the southeast corner of New Mexico. There is a project with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and they would like 700,000 acres of land for federal control for conservation. Now, this land is actually owned by you and me. So I'm looking for this land that the government wants, and I start going through the counties because this land they want is in New Mexico and Texas. And I noticed Chavez County, and that's where Roswell, New Mexico is. And I guarantee you none of those people got flood insurance. Man, there is no telling what Mother Nature's gonna do next.
Yes, Mother Nature indeed. Hey, thanks so much for stopping by. To my new subscribers, welcome. To those of you that have been here for a while, welcome back. If you're having a good time, won't you please hit that like button? And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Then come back tomorrow because I'm making a new episode every day.
It's official. Our sun has reached its solar maximum. Now you probably like, oh wow, that's why we've been seeing the northern lights in areas that you normally wouldn't. You're exactly correct. Now just look how many articles are talking about it and warning us of potential grid failure. Let's take a look at it. This article, Fox Weather. Sun reaches solar maximum phase. NBC, sun at maximum phase could impact communications in northern lights. Earth.com, the sun has officially reached its solar maximum period in the solar cycle. This happens every 11 years, family. Although it says it's an 11-year cycle, it could go into the next year because the solar maximum does not have an exact beginning and end. Now, That just begs a question, or ponder a thought with me for educational and entertainment purposes only. You know how these storms have been getting stronger, and even just like regular like rainstorms last longer and produce more rain? Well, what if our sun and the storms on the sun also are longer now? Because they say everything in our solar system is connected, right? They say that it's not just the Earth that's warming, but it's a whole universe where every planetary body goes through a warming and cooling period at the same time. Oh, you don't believe me? Let me show you the facts real quick. Now, in this article titled Climate Change on Other Planets, you talk about Venus, Mars, Saturn's moon, things of that nature. I'm going to show you the part that I was referring to. However, most scientists agree that Mars was much warmer in the past and even had oceans. Now you fast forward to today, they're saying that it seems that the oceans are coming back on Mars, or that they see oceans. Take a look at this. As I said, family, I always bring the facts. So scientists have discovered evidence of a large underground ocean of liquid water on Mars. Now, I'm just using their own information to prove my point, because this is what they deem the correct information and not misinformation. And this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. So yeah, thank you for joining me on this rabbit hole of information just to connect some dots for y'all. Thanks for tapping in. Peace and love.
Now, scientists say that the sun has an 11-year cycle, and it's just what we've noticed before. And they could be completely wrong because we don't know the sun. We don't control the sun. We can suggest what we think the sun is going to do based on what it has done before, but the sun is in control. It can do whatever it wants, whenever it wants. We are at its mercy.
I just wanted to say to whoever's in charge of damage control for the Kamala Harris campaign, all of us Trump supporters deeply appreciate you because you are terrible at your job. So less than a week after Kamala Harris told Christians they weren't welcome at her rallies because somebody yelled out, "Jesus is Lord, Christ is King," and she responded with,
"Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally."
She decided she was going to do some damage control, so she went to a black megachurch and tried to read a passage off a teleprompter. And as you can imagine, a lot of the members of that church had some questions for her. But instead of answering why she told Christians they're at the wrong rally, she had those people removed. She kicked people out of their own church for asking her a question. Yeah, whoever's in charge of damage control, you suck at your job.
It's nice to know that other people are thinking the same thing, but I didn't know why she had those individuals removed. They were questioning her about the whole thing, and she was like, "No, you can't ruin my PR stunt. Have them taken out." It's so disgusting.
Proposition 1 on the New York ballot, coming across as an abortion bill. Print the bill and read it. Not one word of abortion in it. You will see that it is giving rights to illegal citizens to vote in our local elections. It is taking parents' rights away, saying that we have to assist our child in becoming a male if that's what they choose to be, or we can face neglect charges and have our kids taken away. Also says that men are now allowed to participate in women's sports and we can't tell them to stay out of women's bathrooms. So I urge you to go read this bill. It's 3 pages, doesn't take long, and realize it doesn't have one mention of abortion. Not one. Mind you, abortions have never been under attack in New York. They are lying to you. They are telling you what you want to hear, so you vote what they want you to vote.
All right, New York, make sure you read those bills thoroughly before you vote on them. That's the politicians' agenda. They tell you it's one thing, and there's little tiny pockets of this, that, and the other thing just tucked away in there in all of their gibberish to get it past you. Because they say one thing, and then you're like, ooh, that's a good thing. And then there's like a bunch of other things that is not good. So read your bills before you vote if you haven't already.
I have a request, and it might offend some people, but can we stop raising awareness for things? It's too much. I know too much. I'm too aware. I don't need to know everything that's going on in the world, okay? I don't need you to be like telling me all these things that I wouldn't traditionally know. I was designed to live in a mud hut, yeah? A very quiet life, being bombarded with information that I, quite frankly, don't want to know about. In fact, let's try and raise unawareness, yeah? I don't know how that can happen, but I'm just a big fan of raising unawareness. Control Alt Delete. I want to delete everything that's in my brain. I'm having to reset my algorithm. I'm having to click not interested, even though part of me is interested, but I'm having to do that for my own mental health. Not interested, not interested. All I'm interested in right now is memes, reality TV, and food videos. That's all I care about deep down. That's all I care about. And I know that makes me a horrible person. I know that makes me a monster, but I'm too aware. I've had it.
And that's exactly how your government wants you to be. Unaware. That's how I was. I lived in a bubble. I didn't care about anything else. I was perfectly comfortable in my bubble. And once I popped a hole in that darn thing, oh my goodness, it opened up. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's good to know. You need to be aware because there are things going on that they don't want you to know. And you have to ask questions. Got to get into the little nitty gritty and find out what the heck is going on. And that's when they get scared.
There's a warrant for your arrest. Okay. Oh my gosh. So that's what.
She won't tell you what the warrant's for?
It's for fraud.
It's for what?
It's for fraud, but like I said, we'll go back and sit down and actually I'll let you.
Yeah, please.
I'll explain all the charges exactly.
Okay. Okay, I'm in the middle. I need to tell my boss. I'm not telling my boss that, obviously.
Can she tell her boss that?
I work for the federal government myself, so for my job security and my children.
Are you working right now?
Yeah, I'm in a meeting like right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you that courtesy, and we don't normally
I know
do
you don't
that.
have to do that.
So go ahead and make a phone call to your boss and let him know that you're gonna be, I guess, out for the rest of the day at least.
Let me call your kid. I'll pay that. What the is going on? Do you have all the context for like what's going on, or like what's
Can you
the?
sit
Can
in the
I
chair
close
for
the
me?
door because I don't want my children to like hear that.
Is anyone else here adult-wise?
Yeah, they are. Dad is here.
Okay.
If you remember during COVID, the government was giving people a lot of extra money, and a lot of people that weren't deserving of that money were taking it. I've seen a lot of stories where they are cracking down on people, not just individuals, but the businesses also that took that extra business money. So they're coming in hot, which makes me wonder why they didn't do it before they gave them the money. Why didn't they do a little bit of investigation, especially in these businesses that got lots and lots of money? It was too easy for the businesses to get that money in the first place.
Well, I don't know if you guys have heard or not, but apparently they're going to try to go after Elon Musk for the $1 million a day raffle until the day of the election. They're trying to say that it's illegal, it's election interference, etc., etc., etc. Now, I took a screenshot of the petition page, okay? And we're just going to go through it. Now, as you can see, this is the petition. It is in favor of free speech and the right to bear arms. Nowhere in there does it say you have to be Republican or Democrat. It just says you are pledging your support for the First and Second Amendments. That's it. Yet somehow we're being told that it's equivalent to election interference. How? Because everyone who loves America like they claim they do should want free speech and the right to bear arms, as they are our First and Second Amendment in the Constitution. Nowhere in there does it say you only get the $1 million if you're voting for Donald Trump. Nowhere in there does it say only register if you are a Republican who has not registered. It simply says you pledge to support the First and Second Amendment rights. That's not election interference. I can't believe we have to explain this. Having a raffle for a petition to get more people to sign a petition and get them to register to vote does not mean that it is election interference. You show me on there where it says it has to be Republicans that sign up to vote, and Democrats can't do it, or independents can't register to vote. I'll give you a hint. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, they're pretty scared of Elon Musk. He's got a lot of pull, and he's not doing anything illegal. He's just giving away money for people who support America and our Constitution. So yeah, be afraid.
Go to work, don't think. Go to work, don't think. We're going to take half of your check. We're going to send it to wherever the hell we want. Don't think. Drop your kids off at public school. They're waving an LGBT flag in front of your kid's school. You don't know what they're teaching your kids. You don't know how they're treating your kids. Just don't think. Keep on working. Do you think that's the way you should live life? No. Go for it. Start that new ideal. Start that business that's been on your mind. Go for it. I wish nothing but success and winning in this life for you. You got this.
It's time to be a nation of thinkers and not a nation of workers as we have been molded to be.
The deficit in 5 minutes.
How?
You just pass a law that says that anytime there's a deficit of more than 3% of GDP, all sitting members of Congress are ineligible for re-election. Yeah. Now you've got the incentives in the right place, right? So it's capable of being done.
That man and all his billions and billions of dollars, yeah, all you gotta do is mess with the Senate's money. That's all they care about. That's all politicians care about is their money. That's why they tuck in little pockets of extra money for themselves into all of these bills that are so important to their people. Take away their money. Let them feel what 99% of America feels. Maybe they'll start taking care of us.
Without mentioning any names, I can tell you easily which side of the aisle is going to be more corrupt. And I've turned off comments because this isn't something that's arguable, and I don't want to hear your personal inaccuracies. The idea on the Democrat side being we can be more efficient if we centralize decisions. On the Republican side, the people can be more effective when the government is closer to them, rather than being so many levels removed from them. And I know that is the traditional position, and it does not necessarily represent reality across the board. But there still is that sense. Remember when we were hit with COVID and Trump did not make a decision on what to do, but left it to the states. That would be one small example of a Republican versus a Democrat decision. But just looking at those two principles simply, you and I can know, without naming names, where the greatest egos are going to be, where the greatest power grabs are going to be, where the greatest narcissism is going to be, where the greatest corruption is going to be. Will there be greater corruption within a system that is accumulating power, or within a system that is dispersing power elsewhere? You've decided. I know you're going to vote the way you want to vote. But what I'm telling you is basic truth, and in your heart you know it's true.
I understand. I know. Why so much politics? I never paid attention to politics before, and it's election season, and I'm diving deep into just about everything, and it's good to know what's going on in our country. And I'm sorry if I'm getting a little preachy, but politics is important. I promise it's not all about politics, and I'm going to get back to some weird stuff right now.
I'm so confused. Everyone is acting brand new to this man loving fish. I mean, really loving fish. Everybody's acting like these allegations is new, allegedly. But it's been known in Hollywood for many years that Tom Cruise liked to have relation with fishes, allegedly. There have been cases where they say he went to pet stores, and if they didn't have the certain type of fish, one time he had a lady end up losing her job. Apparently the fish need to be a certain type of length, and this weirdo would have his security guard the bathroom or guard his car until he's finished disregarding of the fish. They even said sometimes they find the fish that he bought in the dumpster or just left there on the sink. So is this some strange type of ritual or something? Now please, this is in no way to be confused with the Christian fish symbol. Remember, this guy is a Scientologist. Yeah, but I really been have hearing rumors since the late 80s, early 90s about this dude just loving up on some fish. A matter of fact, they even say the character Deep from The Boys is based off of him. If you watch that show called The Boys on Amazon Prime, y'all know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know.
I've never heard that before. Have you ever heard that before? That is absolutely weird. Like I said, it's weird. But I did a little bit of searching, and all I'm finding is people speculating, saying, oh, somebody said it, and then everybody ran with it, because that's how it goes. Somebody says something, and then the whole world knows for a fact that Tom Cruise does weird stuff with fish. But is it true? Don't know. It's definitely weird.
In an April 23 statement to Congress, the FBI revealed that they significantly expanded DNA processing requirements of the FBI and were collecting some 90,000 samples per month. Some of this, Crystal, is based upon federal law, where there is a database of the Combined DNA Index System that goes across all 50 states, which stipulates that originally, just if you were a violent or a sexual offender, they were to take a DNA sample of you for reference in the future. That eventually was then lowered down to like the misdemeanor level of crime. It eventually got to the point where if you are now even a person of interest in a crime, even if you've never been convicted in a crime, that you can have your DNA legally obtained. And is now expanding to the point where even in airports and in ports of entry, they are hoovering up DNA samples. And basically, through a quasi-legal loophole, are expanding this with no recourse, no due process about the invasive privacy nature of any of this, that rapidly expands so they can just do with this data for whatever purposes that they want. And don't forget, there was, I forget which, it was the Golden State Killer, I want to say, the serial killer, who they were able to find him decades after he had committed his last crime, and he was a horrible serial killer, to be clear, where they checked his past DNA against open databases of like Ancestry.com, of like people who had submitted samples. They were able to obtain like a search warrant or whatever for these, and were able to connect it back to him via a semi-distant relative of his who had submitted their DNA to one of these like ancestry websites, which raised a lot of questions. I'm not saying it wasn't good that we caught him. I think it's great. You think he'll die in jail, and that's good, especially recourse for his victims. But it really opened my eyes, that particular case, where I'm like, wow, man. I mean, with the way that they're able to use this, it doesn't just implicate you. I mean, if they even have a very distant relative or whatever of yours, they can quite easily use that should they ever want to in any of these types of scenarios. Very creepy when you start to think.
What I find super interesting is it started out that they were able to access the DNA just to find top tier offenders. And then they just expanded it and expanded it and expanded. And before you know it, they can see anybody's DNA, whatever they want, because they can. And it was BTK that was caught recently, and it was because his daughter did a DNA sample. So pretty much if you did the DNA thing, which I have, they've got access to your stuff.
On January 14, 1967, Dr. Walter Hinton, a respected scientist, went missing while leading a classified research expedition deep in Antarctica. Funded by the U.S. government, the operation was shrouded in secrecy, with only a handful of military personnel aware of its true purpose. The official narrative was that Dr. Hinton and his team were studying climate patterns, but whispers hinted at something far more sinister. Using advanced technology of the era, including radar and satellite imagery, the team ventured into the remote regions of the Ross Sea. As days passed with no communication from the scientists concerned grew among officials. On January 23rd, a rescue mission was dispatched, but found only an abandoned camp with no signs of struggle. Tantalizing clues suggested they had uncovered something extraordinary, possibly evidence of ancient civilizations buried beneath the ice. A journal later recovered revealed that Dr. Hinton had discovered artifacts that hinted at extraterrestrial contact. The government quickly classified all findings and officially closed the case, labeling it an accident. To this day, no trace of Dr. Hinton has been found. It remains one of the many secrets frozen in time.
I truly believe that there is something being hidden in Antarctica. I believe that it's evidence of advanced previous civilizations. And if there is anything found there that's technologically advanced, I'm beating myself up for saying this, but I don't think it's alien. I think it would be from previously advanced civilizations, which is just incredible. And sadly, we'll probably never know. Well, I guess this is as good a place as any to end it for today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Please, come on back tomorrow. We're going to watch some new stuff. I'm going to try to say some different things. It's going to be fantastic. Until then, have a wonderful day.